Hi guys, and welcome back to Retrospectreviews. Now, I've been holding out about a year to do this video on Maniac Mansion, as I wanted it to come out on the week of my birthday and when I got Maniac Mansion back in 1990 for my birthday. So, let's have a look at Maniac Mansion. If you're into adventure games, you'll most likely have at least heard of Maniac Mansion. Due to its age, many younger gamers have never played it, and perhaps some are unaware of how groundbreaking it was to the genre. At the time of its release, it was the second adventure game from LucasArts, later to become Lucasfilm Games, and one of the most important pioneers of the now familiar point-and-click concept. Maniac Mansion was the first game to use LucasArts' SCUM game engine. SCUM stands for Script Creation Utility for Maniac Mansion. Ron Gilbert designed the game with Gary Winnick Gilbert, as well as being project lead and one of the two lead programmers of the SCUM system. Winnick also served as artist and animator. The game was initially released for the Commodore 64 in 1987. And was followed in 1988 by ports for the IBM PC and compatibles, Amiga, Apple II, and the Atari ST. A Nintendo Entertainment System version was released in Japan in 1988 and in Europe and the US in 1990. This edition was heavily edited and censored due to Nintendo's policy of only releasing games that were family-friendly and inoffensive. So we've talked about the origins and some of the technical background of the game. So let's find out what the game is all about. Maniac Mansion tells the story of a young man named Dave, whose girlfriend Sandy has been kidnapped by the evil Dr. Edison and imprisoned in the Edison family mansion. Before setting off on your quest to save Sandy, you must choose 2 friends to accompany Dave from 6 possible friends. You can switch between your 3 playable characters at any time in order to use each personal skills to solve puzzles in a number of different ways. Some of the gang are more talented with technical tasks like repairs, while others have the strength to force things open. Some are more artistic and musical, and so on. One of these characters is Bernard, who later returns in Day of the Tentacle, the sequel to Maniac Mansion. At the start of the game, all we know is that Dr. Edison has taken Sandy to his mansion, and that 20 years ago a meteor fell to Earth. The simple premise of the game is getting into the house, finding Sandy, and trying to thwart the evil scientist's plans. This relies on such a basic foundation means that story isn't really Maniac Mansion's strong point. The lack of progressive plot leaves the game rather freeform and unrestricted, without anything to really aim for aside from the ultimate goal. This results in a lot of exploration as you wander around the mansion trying to find out where the heck the Edisons have hidden Sandy. The focus of exploration over narrative might be a turn-off for those more used to recent story-driven epics, but if, like me, you play adventure games more for the settings and puzzles, Maniac Mansion has those in spades. There are a variety of ways to accomplish your tasks, which can be completed in almost any order, depending on the combination of player characters you choose and the paths you take. The game is playable in many different ways. Such freedom is almost unheard of in the adventure genre nowadays, and perhaps hasn't even really been replicated in this degree in nearly 3 decades since Maniac Mansion first appeared. Even games that offer different ways of accomplishing tasks usually end up with the same conclusion at game's end. Maniac Mansion avoids this repetition with 3 or 4 distinct endings. Unfortunately, this open-endedness means Maniac Mansion is one of the few, if not only, LucasArts games with walking deads, where it is impossible to complete the game due to some vital piece of inventory or action that was missed earlier. It is also possible to die in several places. Unlike most later LucasArts games, these deaths are rarely undeserved, and each of the 10 or possible deaths and game overs are amusing and worth experiencing for the fun of it. The deaths are weird and wonderful, being that the whole game has a comic atmosphere. After all, this is a game about a mad professor who kidnaps a young girl at the behest of an evil meteor and threatens to perform experiments on her pretty little brains. Along the way, Dave and his gang will run into a mummified Edison family member, a man-eating plant, and two weird humanoid tentacle thingies. What else can you expect when entering a mansion with the sign, "Warning, trespassers will be horribly mutilated"? The game can be divided into 5 or 6 main tasks, although these are never really stated explicitly in the game. Some of the goals involve the house owners and inhabitants, and the occasional cutscene is used to show what the residents are up to. These things help players know where they are located to either avoid them or encounter them as circumstances require. Each of the tasks can be accomplished by any of the characters utilizing their specific skills, with a little legwork being done by the other 2 accompanying characters. Jeff seems to be the only exception to this rule, since he has no specialist skills to rely on like the others do. Although the mansion is relatively large, it's not all accessible at first, so after your initial wanderings, there remains little to do but work out ways to unlock previously unreachable parts of the mansion. The puzzles in the game are all inventory based and rarely difficult, being mostly a matter of working out which of your vast collection of keys and foodstuffs to use at any given time. These puzzles tend to involve getting around some obstacles, be it a locked door or one of the house owners. Until you gain access to Sandy's location, experienced gamers ought to be able to finish Maniac Mansion within a few hours of each set of different characters. There is no real dialogue in the game, at least not any instigated by the players. There's no talk option in the interface, so what few conversations that exist occur during cutscenes, usually between the occupants of the mansion. This means that the player characters have no dialogue and no real personalities. All we ever really find out about them is their skills, and though their reactions to certain situations, their fears, these fears present an occasional obstacle. For instance, one character might be afraid of the tentacles who live in the mansion, while others are content to approach them without fear. These reactions are few and far between. The mansion's occupants are better represented, with frequent cutscenes and their living conditions giving hints as to their personalities. Quite a few puzzles involve these characters' wants and needs, so working out what they like is necessary to succeed. As the first game to use SCUM, Maniac Mansion utilizes the now familiar verb selection interface, where a verb is selected from a choice of 15 at the bottom of the screen, followed by an object chosen from somewhere in the current room or the character's inventory. In the original SCUM version, the "what is" verb must be selected before an object title becomes visible. This makes identifying interactive items more laborious than in the later SCUM games. Annoyingly, there is also no option to look at or examine hotspots, only read them. So if something doesn't have any writing on it, you're out of luck, description-wise. There is a huge number of items to take and use, and many of the 50 or so objects are useless to each individual player character. You may very well end up only needing to use a third of your collected items to finish the game. This game goes to emphasize the variety of ways each task can be completed, with certain items being effortlessly interchangeable. During the game, it can be necessary to swap items from playable characters to playable character, and this is achieved by using the give verb on a nearby teammate. All in all, Maniac Mansion was a fine way to help kickstart the point-and-click era back in the day. If you play adventure games more from the exploratory than for the complex story and characters, Maniac Mansion should definitely appeal to you. Even today, though it hasn't stood the test of time as well as some games, compared to later SCUM adventures, it's been surpassed in almost every area: graphics, story, characterization, even interface. But hey, Trailblazers can't be expected to be perfect. Despite these weaknesses, it's still quite solid and enjoyable and well worth playing, if largely for the historical relevance. Well, that's my take and look at Maniac Mansion. Now, Maniac Mansion holds a special place in my heart and on my game shelf, as the copy I have is the copy that I got for my 15th birthday. Funny enough, Zack McCracken was the first LucasArts game I played, even though Maniac Mansion came out the previous year. So, how I got my Maniac Mansion is, on my 15th birthday, my mum drove me to what was one of the best computer stores in Sydney, the Gamesman, to pick out a game of my choice. So wandering up and down the shelves, scanning the shelves for any box art that would catch my eye and reading about the game, I soon was approached by a salesman who asked me if he could help me. I explained to him that I had been playing Zack McCracken and I was hoping to find a game of similar type. To my surprise, he walked over to the shelf, pulled down a box and handed it to me and said this game was made by the same guys who made Zack McCracken. And to my surprise, it was Maniac Mansion. Back in those days, there was no internet, so unless you saw a review of it in a magazine or somebody told you about it, sometimes games just flew under the radar. So that's how I got my copy of Maniac Mansion and still have it to this day. I also have a copy on my NES system, so I'm hoping one day to sit down and play that and complete it and see what the differences are. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell as I upload a new video every Friday. And if you enjoyed this video and liked it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Well, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.